Okay, hey guys, welcome back to my rankings of the this Ben 10 stuff today. There's 3 videos today. I need to get out. At the time I'm doing this, I'm playing GTA, so I had to tell my friends I'm taking a break. AFK in game, but I took some time out to do this because I had to get these 3 videos out in quick succession, so Adam can do his free and upload his free to the archive channel. Up next, of course, is ranking the Ben 10 villains from Season 2. It's only counting Season 2 appearances. So let's do this and get this list underway. I'm hopefully not going to try and make this video as long as the last one because I didn't intend to do that. But it somehow ended up being that. It took a while to upload, but it's officially there, the first one. But yeah, let's go on to these. So at the bottom of the list is the Rejoice leader from the Big Tick, who is the tall one who shoots out a beam from his forehead. Who is probably I want to say he's the main one of those three because he explains everything in detail. The other two is just there for muscle, and the other one's just there because he quote unquote understands the Big Tick's language. But it's his quote unquote understanding, his quote unquote understanding of how it's his understanding of how he believes he understands how the Big Tick works. To be honest, we don't know if it's true or not. Maybe he's done this, but maybe the Big Tick's done this in the past. But it's just like the Rejoice leader's getting on his own ideologies to benefit him. I'm not sure why he's doing this or why he wants to support this bringer of destruction. And the only reason he just destroys is because he's trying to stay alive. So again, the Rejoice leader is kind of a villain. He's kind of not. He's villain. He makes our heroes do something. That's what I mean by he's a villain, because he's forcing them to scrub its sides or they'll attack them again. But so he's not the best villain for obvious reasons, but he's there. Moving on, we've got the Robo Squids from the They Lurk Below episode. They at least pose more of a threat. There is no main leader at all. There's just like a swarm of these guys that attack submarines and destroy. And they just want their energy source back, which the character Donovan stole. So their reasons are justified. They just want their equipment back, and they are willing to do whatever it means necessary to get it. So they simply do pose a bigger threat than the Rejoice leader. Moving on to another leader called the Fungi leader, which is what Adam has referred him to as, so I shall do so by the same name. The Fungi leader is the big boss of the Camp Fear episode, who's like this big brain, mouth type looking thing, who is pretty easy to kill, apparently, when you have Wild Vine. But aside from that, his goal is to spread the plants across the planet so the plant kind can be superior, I guess. Again, I don't think his exposition was kind of very dry, boring, very similar to other minor one-off Ben 10 villains. But I guess what makes him stand out is like his plan of like he presents a bigger threat, like he's gonna take over the world plants and that. So well, the other two past this point aren't really. They're just like doing it for their own for minor goals compared to this one. The Robo Squids want to get some technology back. The Rejoice Leader just wants to worship it. So well, compared to those three, I think the Fungi Leader clearly has a bigger advantage when he wants to consume the planet with plants stuff. So yeah, bigger risks there. Moving on, we've got the Drone, which is making its second appearance here, and thanks to Gwen 10. Essentially, he's just there to be a boss for the sake of being a boss. If you hear any beeps in the background, that is the GTA game. As it stands though, the Drone, of course, has the same operational functions as he did in the first time. Just there to find the Omnitrix, track it down, have a fight with Gwen 10, and just get the ball rolling, really. Just like always, and as always, it does prove effective and still proves useful. Moving on, but yeah, I think if you're wondering why the Drone is above, I think it's understandable why the Drone is above the Fungi Leader, because it's more iconic than the Robo Squid and the Rejoice Leader. Moving on, we've got Volcanus. Volcanus is like a big brute. He's got more personality than the Drone, so that's why he's above him. But as it stands, he's just basically hulking muscle who just sides along with our next character, which should be... No. Actually, I take that back. It's not how I thought it was. But yeah, Volcanus is basically just a brute muscle villain for Ben to fight on the average basis. Next up, we have Phil. Phil is more of... Well, he is human, and Volcanus is probably stronger than him. Phil is smarter than him, probably able to trick our heroes for a bit, until uh, what means necessary. I've been kicked out the car, so I need to just roll around my stick here. But yeah, whatever means necessary. So yeah, Phil, he like I said, he's trying. He at least tricks our heroes, and he's very smart. Has a plumber. He has his qualifications in combat, and he's able to trick our heroes very deceptively. Unlike most villains who don't tend to do that, most of them are big, strong ones. So yeah, even though he's a human, he proves that he's still a plumber, and he has capabilities of being a threat. So there are some factors to him that give him a bit more of a stakes, and of course he has a bit of a rivalry with Max there. So yeah, even though he has one appearance, his appearance is very imposing when he needs to be. Moving along, we've got 6-6. 6-6 is the walking death machine, as Adam puts it. He probably has a better appearance in this because he's basically operating on his own goal, for all we know. But to be fair, he could be doing a bounty hunter mission for Vilgax or someone else. We don't really know the details. But as it stands for this, Vilgax is actually the main villain. He's more intelligent than Volcanus. He's going through his plan to create this weapon that will cause a lot of destruction, obviously. And I feel like it's a better appearance than him in the what's it called, the Hunted episode. I feel like, even though I prefer 6-6 when he's operating with Vilgax, this episode seems to give him more of a moral to go solo. So it's a nice episode for him. But yeah, 6-6 is an okay villain. Moving on, we've got Slicks, who is it called, Slicks Figma, who is the grudge match villain. He essentially is this mysterious presence type. Kind of reminds me of Lord Shen, which I've mentioned in the previous video, with the robes and the sleek voice. Very sinister there. So, and he has like that a Japanese feel. I mean, all his goal is just to get as many prisoners as possible, so he can have like the greatest galactic competitor, and then he could have like the greatest fighter in his area. I guess he just wants to make people, aliens, happy, because I can't really see any sort of evil intention from this guy apart from just enslaving the gladiators. So if all he wants is to make people happy, then that's fine. So if you think about it, he's not really a villain, because I don't think his goals are really that evil, only to the prisoners. But the twist, of course, being Slicks Figma being the consul is a nice twist, and it could go into an interesting backstory of like if he's a pilot and he's a robot. Clearly, there was someone else and he took over. So there is some interesting dynamics with Slicks Figma, and of course that helps boost him up more than 6-6 in film. Moving on with Hex and his reappearance in Tough Luck, which obviously is a better episode for him as he's got Charmcaster to give him a nice camaraderie. His plan is a bit more dangerous because he's got like this charm. The keystone is more powerful than the charms of Bazel, but what's holding him back is that he's just recreating the charms of Bazel. So I don't understand his plan peculiarly, but he's done pretty much better in this episode, and that's thanks to the help of the next one on the list, Charmcaster, who obviously outdoes her uncle in every way. She's more deceptive than her uncle. She outsmarts him 2 times. He thought she was betraying him, and then she actually did betray him. So she's very elusive. Obviously, that betrayal came like halfway through the episode. I don't think it was planned all along. It's like Lucky Girl kind of helped bring that out. So it gives her motivation to go solo more often. So and Charmcaster is very interesting with like what power she can do, summon golems, spew out bat creatures, and create magical blasts, which we'll get into more with her down the road. So she seems to have more potential than Hex does. Moving on, we have Enoch in the episode Ultimate Weapon, who basically, once again, Enoch is desperate to get any alien artifacts he can to do whatever he needs necessary. I'm not sure what he wants all these alien artifacts for, maybe because he finds them fascinating, but in this he's going after the mask of Arpook, which him and Max form a rivalry over it, and of course he ultimately gets the weapon, but it turns to dust, and he stays there because he's so desperate for alien technology. But what boosts him up from this episode, from his previous episode, obviously, is because like he has more to do in this episode than he did in Small Problems, because he's taking more of an action seat, which he should do because he's going up against the Tennysons. And he did say he was going to go after the Tennysons, but he never does. His next appearance, of course, is going after this mask of Arpook. Or maybe he realized that when he dug up Max's backstory, he knew he would come after it. I don't know. As it stands, though, Enoch's appearance in this episode is far better than his previous ones, and he is a more intelligent villain compared to what we've already come across. So that's why I think I've ranked him higher than the others. Moving on, we've got Animo. Obviously, even more, he still ranks high among the Ben 10 villain rogues. He doesn't have that suave demeanor that Enoch does. He's more of, having fun with his role as being the villain. He just wants revenge on the Tennysons at this point, and also to create that new world order with when he gets the Omnitrix. This is when he begins his obsession with the Omnitrix and wants to get as much DNA from Ben as possible, so he can create a new way of species on the planet. So yeah, it does start to develop his character, of course, but he still retains his humor as well, with at the end by that running joke of him being locked up by a paddy wagon. But yeah, I feel like he gets more to do, even though it's not Adam's favorite episode for me. Anyway, it gives the start for his Omnitrix obsession, so there's that for you. I do appreciate that. But yeah, and it's a better episode for his plan anyway, because he's not like whining over a trophy in this one. He's more like developing his own character, like going after bigger things now with alien technology. Moving on, we have Vilgax. Now Vilgax, you may be surprised because last time I did Vilgax as number 1, but for this, considering he has less to do and he's only around for I think one episode, which is the Vengeance episode, it kind of pushes him back a bit, because like he gets free from the ice. He still wants the Omnitrix, and with the help of Kevin, he think he can use this guy to his advantage, which actually backstabs in the back later. But yeah, so Vilgax still proves to be an opposing villain. He's the brains behind the operation of the Vengeance episode, as he knows what Ben's weaknesses are. So he's using Max and Gwen as like kryptonite for him to lure him in and bring him to his doom, which he did last time. So it's a nice callback, and he's very, very calculative, studying Kevin 11, trying to work on all the details. I just realised that my friend is trying to pick me up in the car. Okay, but yeah. So as it stands, though, Kevin 11 is a very imposing villain. Wait, Kevin 11? Vilgax, sorry, I'll get to Kevin when I know. But yeah, Vilgax, he's not as, I wouldn't say he's as good as his Season 1 debut, because that season was more focused on building up Vilgax. This one, he's there, still continuing on his quest for the Omnitrix. It's just a bit toned down than it was in the first. So that's why I feel like he doesn't get much to do, because he only has one episode and one appearance. So that's why I think I push him back a bit. Moving on to Ghost Freak is my number 2. That means Kevin 11 is number 1, so no surprises there, and it's pretty obvious Kevin 11 will be easily the number 1, but we'll get to him in just a bit. Ghost Freak was also established throughout the series to get a bit darker and darker as it progressed, but he was slowly getting out the watch. He finally is able to do so, and he proves to be one of Ben's greatest enemies he has ever encountered, as he's going up against one of his previous alien forms. And it's revealed to be his true. We see his true form, which is the upside down, one-eyed skull, and this like Tim Burton looking like body, because Tim Burton likes to use black and white in the color scheme there. So we've got that kind of there. But we've also got the Freddy Krueger like claw hands there. So it's a nice horror like mixture of parts. And of course he still wants to be with Ben, so he can take full control and like be at his strongest, because thanks to him makes sense in a way. But yeah. So he wants to have that power once again, but he wants to be in the driver's seat. And then he proved... Oh god, I can hear a missile. Yep, there's a missile on me. I'll just mute that off. But yeah, as it stands though, like I said, as it stands, what was it? Ghost Freak. It's good that he's able to use different people's bodies to take advantage of a situation like when he takes over Gwen, of course, and uses a sacrifice. The only problem here is that he stabs himself in the foot, like, oh, I made a deal with you. If he had just kept his word, he would have had Ben, but no, he didn't, because like, I'll kill him anyway. And that's when Ben slaps the watch down, turns into Grey Matter, saves himself, and then later he beats him in the end. So, at that one little flaw, Ghost Freak loses. Obviously, he's supposed to lose, but he was so close to winning, so that's why he's number 2. But yeah. Anyway, as it stands though, Ghost Freak has proven to be a very imposing villain, and even by his one solo appearance, I feel like he was more closer to winning than Vilgax was this season. And as to wrap this up, Kevin 11 is obviously number 1. I feel like he had more development in it than he had season 1, obviously, clearly. Starting off with frames, which is how he's able to he's able to turn into all of Ben 10's aliens, and then later at the end he becomes this chimera-like thing, and he blames Ben for it, and then throughout the show he's pursuing the Tennysons just to get back at Ben, and it gets more fun as it goes. Grudge match, very iconic episode for me and Adam, like I've said in the episode ranking, so that's why I rank it so high. But yeah, it furthers their relationship, both sides, why they hate each other, advances Kevin 11's powers, and it sets up his final appearance of season in season 2 with the Vengeance episode where he's on Slix's ship and kills Technorg. Obviously, because like he's not there in the Vengeance episode, Technorg isn't. But yeah, moving on, we've got, of course, his final appearance in Vengeance, which of course is very great there, teaming up with Vilgax. How did he get Vilgax in a block of ice? I have no idea. Long story short, we don't know how Vilgax keeps coming back in different ways, but he does. But as it stands, sorry if I'm looking away, but I have to keep an eye on the screen as well, because again, like I said prior, I was playing GTA, so I've also got to make sure I don't get kicked out of the session. So I am moving my stick around. As it stands, though, like I said, Kevin 11, great villain, and he even backstabs Vilgax too, by trying to take the watch for himself. And since he's the one who gets to since he's the one removing the Omnitrix, I think it's even because like he likes to take pleasure in making Ben suffer. So I think that works with his character. And I do like at the end that both Vilgax and Kevin go back to what their characters are like. When the watch is thrown, the Vilgax will go for it, and Ben and Kevin just go straight for Ben. So yeah, the symbolism is still there, but I felt like Kevin 11 had way much more development, more fun in this season than his last appearance. So I feel like this is a better season for Kevin. And as it stands, though, I'm gonna have to wrap this up now, guys. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. If you did, smash that like button, subscribe for that good stuff. Hit that notification bell on the right corner so you can subscribe. Make sure you've checked, hit the notification bell so you can check out all of the videos that are related to the Adam Ferns archive channel, because that's where this video will be added onto. And I'll see you guys for the final video from my rankings, which will be the one-off characters. Okay, so stay tuned for that. And just like always, peace.